Well, hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room. Happy Saturday. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Call it, again, just call it Justice's Waiting Room. The Indiana Pacers, a unionized professional basketball organization in the NBA, play tonight in Memphis against the Grizzlies after taking the reigning NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder to a double overtime game without Halliburton. The Pacers are going to be very good again, just as long as they stay healthy. Didn't look like they skipped a beat. So if you like basketball and are unsure who to root for in the new world, Pacers will do. Okay, first things first. Let's share the show. Well. Listen to War. I'm gonna sneeze.
I've been excited to receive this for a very long time.
It's I did say it just happened a little faster than I thought it was gonna. Sorry about that. Glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't sneeze with my headset on. But anyway, listen to War. Edwin Starr. Like I said, I was raised by my summers were spent at Boy Scout camp, and I was in the Marine Corps myself, and I'm a big movie buff. And shit, how many times have you heard that song? And I didn't even know that man sang it until we started the show. Thank you. First sneeze of the season, right? No. It finally hit 32 degrees yesterday morning when I went to walk the dogs. First freeze of the season. For anybody contemplating moving to Indiana, there you go. The week of Halloween for the first freeze um, this year. Putin's envoy claims the diplomatic settlement of war is close. Now that Ukraine has long-range missiles and is approaching long-range missile capability, Ukraine doesn't want the smoke. Specifically, that's not how Vladimir Putin wants to die. Freezing here too. Yeah, a little warmer today, uh, but only if you're really paying attention. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just a few degrees warmer today than yesterday. JWR is our hashtag if you want to get involved, share the show, a thought that you like. Something happened to me for the very first time, and it's a good feeling. So thanks Zeke. But somebody was watching me play video games, and there was, I played for like an hour and a half, and there were several points in there where they were like, "Oh my gosh, that was like something I wouldn't mind rewatching, like a clip." And I was like, "Oh, if you'll tell me the times, I'll see what I can. I'll go back and look at them, and won't that be fun? Like whatever." Same thing for the show. I'm not scripted. I don't storyboard anything. I try to think about what we have talked about, the news stories that we've kept our thumb on, right, and progress those storylines every single day. I actually feel like we are seeing what is going on in the world play out in real time through the media. hmm That's what as opposed to, when I was growing up, my parents would just read the newspaper and hand it to me when they're done. We didn't really talk about it. we didn't talk about the implications. What happens if this happens? If this happens, then you got to do this. The bob and weave. By the way, I notice I don't comply, but I notice that Facebook wants me to be more provocative because I use SEO. It wants to change all my hashtags and it always wants to make it more volatile. For example, I'm just using Free Palestine as an example. Okay? Every morning when I go to share the show, this is why you should stop using this shit. Okay? Every morning I share the show now and I post it on Facebook. This is the only thing I do on Facebook and Twitter is share the show, right? I don't even monitor whatever happens, right? I don't even care. I'm just making sure it's not like I didn't post links on other sites, right? But when I go to copy paste the same thing I just put on Blue Sky, the same thing I just put on Twitter, and I paste on Facebook, Facebook goes, "Are you sure you didn't mean free Palestine from the river to the sea?" Every day. Every single day. It's like, do you want to incite some people? That's what Facebook's doing. That's why you should stop using it. Because that's fucking dangerous. Right? Think of, again, think about the implications. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Kara, Stacy, Ange, Gabby, Squint, Val. The missus in here, for sure. My wife and I are going to get all dressed up and go take a bunch of pictures of ourselves and get drunk with our family. We got a wedding today. Hell yeah, over 20 countries. By the way, Euromaidan. I love the name of that. Euromaidan Press. Over 20 countries pledged to remove Russian oil and gas from global markets. This is another step, right? Another step. Remember, Ukraine took out half of Russia's ability to produce its own fuel oil, making it a lot more difficult to fly jets and tanks when you ain't got no gas. Is everybody sort of tracking? You can't move your big up armored vehicles if you don't have anything to power them. Okay? Yeah, I'm super excited. Something that you all have to remember. I am an escapist. So no. I will I don't really doom scroll anymore. I bounce around, right? So I'll check YouTube a little, not really looking for anything. I'll peruse Reddit like we do after the show to see if I miss anything over the course of the day or see if a story develops, and you'll see me post it on Discord. I really do try to think of it as like It's a 24-hour news cycle. So anything could fucking happen at any time. And with that knowledge, like just knowing that, like, I have it, you should know, my audience should know that I have it in my brain. We've seen too much. We've seen too much. We know too much. This is the trouble of the digital age that we're in, is that people get over the fuck whelmed. So with that knowledge that we just know too much, we see too much, and it burns people out. I don't sit here and keep tabs on things over the course of the day, mostly because I have like a day job and a wife and animals and stuff. So what I try to bring you is a fresh faced approach to media where I'm not half cocked. I didn't come in here knowing all the storylines of the day and the order that they're going to come down in and exactly what I was going to do and the way the worlds curl off my tongue. Right? No, it's not pre planned. There's no teleprompter. I'm not using a bunch of toys. The only thing I'm looking at is my face and trying to keep it centered in the frame. That's about all I care about. Right? You'll notice I don't run ads. I'm not asking for advertisement. I'm not asking you for money neither. I'm not wasting my time begging for clicks and likes and comments because that's not what the fuck I came here to do. Right? I came here to sit down in front of my computer in front of a live audience and say, as someone who wants to change the world, what is the correct approach? Well, I think that at a bare minimum, a fucking bare minimum, I have to be able to sit down and you have to be able to watch me react to the news as it happens, as he sees it. And he says, well, we elected a traitor who is a turncoat and a fucking idiot. So what do you expect every one of the people that he hires to be? A traitor, a turncoat, and a fucking moron. And again, how long are we into this show? And what has happened? Every single goddamn day, Jared's vindicated. Is he not? Because he's like, well, they're traitors and turncoats, and they're fucking idiots. You notice, and again, now you catch me when I'm in my zone. They're not passing bills. They're not even doing executive orders anymore. The president of the United States, little dog. Sorry, I ain't even doing her the service of calling her a bitch. KKK Caroline went out there, her little mouthpiece ass, and said Donald Trump's pure focus is on the ballroom. We are inside 1 week of what did we come up with? We said it was like 42 million people are not getting fucking food stamps on November 1st. And I just happen to think that the whole system is broken and that we ought to just give everybody $500 every Friday and we could afford it. Everybody. I want people turning it down. You get what I'm saying? I want people to stop sweating their fucking student loans and just get a goddamn education. Jesus. And then we obviously have to do something about the cost of living, about the cost of housing. And the flat facts are that there are like 700,000 fucking homeless people and there are 3.1 million empty fucking homes. And I'm willing to bet you a quarter of them homes that are for sale, nobody's buying them shits. Give it to them. Homelessness solved. Have the city or the state buy that property and just give it to them. It's the least you could do. They're fucking homeless. They ain't got nothing. And all it really takes is like 600 people that are willing to repeat that and run for public office, and we could change the world. That cannot be bought, cannot be deterred. I have a mission in my life. I want to find 600 people that are like college educated. Yeah, a lawyer would be fantastic. Having had some political involvement in your life would be great. That's called credibility, dingus. But I need 600 of those people to sit down with me, formulate a plan, run for office, win, and then your whole mission in life is to create mini-me's. And I didn't necessarily mean children. I meant that there needs to be people that are like you, right? That believe the same things that you do, that can do basic fucking math, okay? Basic fucking math says you can't afford rent and healthcare in the United States on a minimum wage income. Ba-da! That's the whole gist of the thing. It is impossible to live on a basic income. It requires an advanced income. You know what I saw on what I'm gonna call it the news? It was like an MSNBC video. MSNBC said to be comfortable now, meaning you can pay your rent, healthcare, food, and your bills, and have, excuse me, savings. You have to make $104,000. And having made good money without a specialized education, it typically takes a specialized education in order to get to 104,000. That's comfortable now because of the rising cost of living. It's not enough to say if we don't, not only will America not survive, but people are already suffering and dying. Dumpy says he thinks Zoran will probably run for president in 2028. Great. Great. I watched a video this morning of Bernie Sanders agreeing with Donald Trump about the border. So, what the fuck are we talking about? Have you been to the border? It's unsafe. Don't go there. Go through points of entry, please. And we should deter people from using alternative points of entry into the United States from a security perspective. So it's unsafe for them to cross over into the United States using all these stupid shit. And they're scared to go through the proper channels because look at the fucking way we treat people here, right? But the thing about immigration that it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. As climate change forces people from their homes, when you start Googling, where do I go if I have nowhere to go, do you know what they're going to tell you to do? To move to the empty, povertous cities in the United States. So, just so you know, if you're not from the United States and you're like, oh shit, a typhoon's about to wipe out my fucking home, where do I go? They're going to say, how much money do you have? Well, if I leave now and I sell my 4 cows and 3 goats and my 2 dozen chickens, I can get 12 grand. You could buy a plot in Memphis, no offense. But like, do you understand? Like, that's going to fucking happen. Never meet your heroes. Zeke. I, my wife will dress me down and say you're no hero. You hit your dogs when they're violent with each other. Like, you're not a good person. I'll put my hands in their mouths. I don't give a shit. And I'll absolutely punch them to make them not do that shit ever the fuck again. Because you're dangerous to each other. You'll kill each other. I don't want that. Guess what? My dogs aren't hyper violent towards each other. It's a risk I'm willing to take and accept the outcome. See? I'm no perfect person. I make mistakes all the time. I make bad decisions all the time. It's just true. You should, same thing with Bernie. Bernie's talking about fucking not caring if people die at the border. Right? He's not a perfect person. He doesn't everything he has. Yeah. No. That's not what I'm saying you said. That's what I'm saying. never meet your heroes. Everyone you know has done something fucking horrible in their lifetime, right? That shouldn't tear the shine off of them. That's what I'm saying about Bernie Sanders having an idiot old man moment and saying, yeah, we need to work on our border security. The fuck are you talking about? We have a shitty immigration system. And immigration is only going to increase. It's the thing about immigration that's true, whether you like it or not, is that been on a downswing for a long time. The cost of living was just too high here. Well, once you bankrupt this bitch and there's no money left, where do you think all the people that are going to have to immigrate are going to want to go? To the middle part of the United States, the South? They're going to want to move to the South? Because people are leaving the fucking South because of climate change. So think about having a fucked up sense of border security when you know this is coming. It's called lack of foresight, right? You get old enough and you're like, well, I'm dying. Foresight's no good here. Yeah, I want to make sure. I didn't say my wife didn't say I was a good person, but it's like people put people on pedestals as though they've done nothing fucking wrong, and they worship people like Bernie. People have like an affinity for Bernie that it doesn't matter what he does or says, even though he completely ignored fucking black people when he was running. I can't remember what else, but I want to say it had something to do with black people and women. Like, he wouldn't listen to women, he wouldn't listen to black people when he was trying to run for public office, right? You need people that are powerful voices to be like, he's good, right? So I only brought up the, like, I punched my dogs when they're violent with each other, when they're gnashing of teeth and shit. And I'll put my hands in their mouths to try to pull them apart. And you're goddamn right, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that more than one time. But by telling you that I did that, it's like, that's the exact same in my eyes as having some stupid stance on border security as an elected official, which causes the death of people. So I'm equating violence and death 100% of the time here in this point. And I'm just saying, like, there's a reason I say don't meet your fucking heroes. Is because you will find that they've done some fuck shit. For the record, I just poured my heart out to you and told you I've done something wrong, right? That I'm not worth idol worship, right? I feel the same way about Bernie. I don't worship him. I listen and I try to learn. And the thing that I've learned in my life, that one of the things that drives me fucking crazy, is I know what to fucking do. But I just keep getting taught what not to do. Over and over and over. And that's one of the reasons that we're here every day. Is that, okay, we have fucked this up thus far. Because the people that are like central to power, and I hate the notion that by creating the American Socialist Party, I am placing myself central to power. Yes. But once you know that I know, the purpose is they need steady hand. They need somebody that's like, hey, this is going on here. You have to put out a public statement. You have to get ahead of this. There will be lives lost. You got to know that like 12 million people are without power in Russia because of a Ukrainian attack that happened late last night. You have to put a statement out because it's fucking winter time. People are going to unalive and fast, right? Like, if you're head of a political party, a socialist political party, social is the fucking norm now. Now we are a reactive force, right? As opposed to like a passive force, which is what you have in power now. The regime in power now wants to pick and choose who it saves, right? You can't be doing that. No, you have to have your thumb on it all. You have to have your thumb on the pulse at all times. You must know you're an elected official. You're elected to care about people. That's why there aren't that many people that could really do this at a high level, because it's a fucking massive undertaking. And people are like, oh, well, you wonder why people don't want to work in politics because it doesn't pay enough. We pay people like $175,000 a year to do this job. And think about here, think about AOC. How well spoken, how well researched and traveled and received and marketed, perfectly packaged she is, and how hard you have to work to do that. 175K? What the fuck are you talking about? Full stop. Now there are absolutely elected officials that aren't worth the fucking printing on the napkin, right? 20 cents, I think. 20 to 40 cents. But yeah, babe, I wasn't beating you up. I was making a point. Like, don't worship other human beings. Don't think of them as like they have this perfection about them and they can do no wrong, and then there is no ignorant and no evil about them. They're like, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not worth worship. I don't think anybody is. I'm not a religious person either, and I don't think anyone has ever been worth worship. I don't think we've ever had a good enough person. Because mostly the like really good people were like good in thought and they didn't actually like accomplish shit. Hate to say it, dog. It's just true. So we got to do it a different way. We got to know more, right? Okay. Here's a problem. Israel has just released 150 terrorists under the Gaza peace deal. They're staying at a five-star luxury resort alongside you always hope it was just out of context. You want to always make sure you're not just throwing away. hmm Estonia purchasing rocket launchers from South Korea. Again, a lot of these countries are arming themselves, and I'm presuming they're trying to protect themselves because they know what's coming. So, when we talk about data, when you look at a population group and there's something wrong, oh, it's happening in our population. You don't. Correlation's not always causation, meaning it always apply to population group. So when you develop a sense of empathy, yeah, yeah. Again, I want to make sure we say it again. Israel released 150 terrorists, and they're all staying in a five-star hotel with unsuspecting guests. hmm This is. hmm Iranian students are reporting a high rate of depression. UK Defense Secretary warns Putin, we're watching you. I mean, think about being a school age kid now. You really gotta wonder, what will there be when I graduate? Houthi rebels have detained. Here's an AP story. Houthi rebels have detained two more UN staffers in Yemen as the world body reevaluates its operations. So I think we'd actually. Yeah. U.S. warships arrive in Trinidad and Tobago for joint military exercises. Normal. It's not abnormal. again, want to make sure what happens doesn't detract from what we expect is happening. Remember, Argentina, for example, is a country that Nazis fled to after World War II. So, Donald Trump giving 40 billion American dollars for Argentinian pesos is effectively setting the bag, right? So they're just putting the money in the safe house so they can escape. Because that's what all of the billionaires in the world, they are robber barons. That's what they have decided they're going to do is plunder. hmm So there's a reason that we said your very existence needs to become, it rhymes, the resistance. Your existence needs to become the resistance. So what we have done as a group, we've stopped watching the news, for example. I don't make a point of watching televised news. Not my local, national, world news. Don't watch any of that shit. It isn't running all day long. If we do this as a collective group of people, you effectively take the money out of the news. And if we do this as a society, the robber barons will move away from corporate media because there's no money in it. Stop watching the news. And then you have to understand that there are absolutely crucial fucking websites that, hey, you gotta be kind of keeping your nose plugged in here to make sure you're staying on the know, right? Twitter used to be that. And now it's blue sky. With the US government fully converting to blue sky, that tells you that Twitter is unusable. Because why the fuck would the US move away from a stable platform? Because it's not stable. Yeah, if they think they're going to get away, they're delusional. Agree. I was making sure we were saying, like, hey, this is what we think's going to happen. You bailed out Argentina, it's their escape plan. They're trying to start a war in Venezuela because Donald Trump has seen the beaches on the north shore of Venezuela. And the fishermen that he's killing live in those villages on those north shores. And he's just trying to raise the villages to push those fishing communities off those beaches so he can put his resort there. After he invades and builds a hotel and a military base, which again is, this is the United States doing United States things, being imperialist, and expansionist. hmm Now, do I think it will happen? No. Remember, I told you they're all fucking morons. All the way down. Once you get past the hate, which they lay it on so fucking thick that it's like real hard to get past the hate. Once you get past that, there's nothing there. It's air. They don't have like justification for shit. Like I watched Steve Bannon, right, getting interviewed. We have a plan to put Donald Trump in the White House in 2028. She says, "What about the 22nd Amendment?" He goes, "We have ways to get around that." And she's like, "Really? What? What are the ways that you get around the Constitution, sir?" And he's like, "When he's in the White House in 2028, you'll remember that I told you we have ways to get around that." And she's just like, "You have ways to get around the 22nd Amendment?" No, no, no. For the record, you're not to follow the regime. There's already a block list set up that says block these accounts. Absolutely. Yeah, they're just there to troll people on Blue Sky. They're not a productive government resource. Yeah, block them on everything. But yeah, if you're missing the Twitter lifestyle, Blue Sky. If you feel the need to get off of TikTok, hey, Skylight's probably a good comparison. And I'm waiting on Neptune. I'm still keeping my. I'm not diving in all in on any single platform really. Obviously we stream every day on YouTube and Twitch, and I post content to YouTube. Posted on the main government site, all weird fake crap. Yeah, the first thing that they did when they joined Blue Sky is shared an AI generated video. Uh, Danish Prime Minister, Putin's strategy is wait for the West to give up. There. Vladimir Putin, so that just tells you what their strategy is. They're going to continue to do what they do, expecting the West to cave. And there is not a sign of caving. Yeah. Maduro says the U.S. is fabricating war. Remember, they want a regime change in Venezuela. They want to oust Maduro. They're going to. The CIA apparently is working in Venezuela to cause a coup. At the hand of the president, yeah. Remember, there is a statute of limitations on crime of years. So know that crimes against your country probably have great statutes of limitation. Mm-hmm. All right, another big Ukrainian drone strike. Good. Squint with the correct attitude. Remember, what we've done on the show in the wake of the 2024 U.S. election is we realized that one of the major problems with MAGA is that they're brainwashed. And then, we kind of acknowledged internally, like, hey, the United States has done a lot of experimenting on people regarding brainwashing. And once you know that someone's brainwashed, what is the correct course of action? And in our research, we learned that you need to exile that person, meaning just stop communicating with them. Mm-hmm. You have nothing, you're not convincing. Just stop talking to them. Eventually, they will see the error of their ways. And they will attempt to reach out to repair the relationship. Or, and you know what's great? Or they won't. And that, my friends, that's just as good. Just as good. Mm-hmm. So it's important to just don't pay attention to the people that mean you harm. Look for the helpers. Try to make it better. There you go. So a lot of people were worried, like, well, aren't people just going to buy whatever the cheapest is? No. No. Because here's the Indian multinational buying oil from the Middle East after all those sanctions were placed on Russia. The French president promises Aster missiles and Mirage jets for Ukraine. So everybody's all these countries are using their war machines to aid Ukraine in repelling And remember, when you're rich, a poor economy helps you and it negatively affects other people. Surprised that all these rich people don't just buy banks, turn themselves into a bank. Remember, we'd talked about this before about somebody's got to build the competitor to all these awful corporations, right? You'll make $1 zillion, just don't be a piece of shit. What the fuck, right? Your companies. Dub said a blocked fam and ex friends. Yeah. And the thing I noticed overwhelmingly, I actually looked this up the other day. I went and looked at Facebook at all the people I block, and it's mostly family members. Okay. Uh, but I saw a particular chunk of people that I had blocked, and let's say there's like 20 people, and I was thinking about when as the economy suffers, as AI chokes out the job market, you know what I'm saying, as SNAP benefits, I'm thinking like of these people that are family to me that I had to block on social media because of negative engagement. 17 of those 20 are reliant on the programs that they voted to get rid of. 75%. That's. We're cooked. We're cooked. People will cut off their hand to spite their face. Happy Saturday, UTC. What up, agent? But a European space giant plans a new satellite powerhouse to take on Starlink. Airbus, Leonardo, and Thales have unveiled plans for a new European satellite group headquartered in France. A landmark alliance aimed at bolstering Europe's space ambitions and taking on global heavyweights such as Elon Musk's Starlink. Let's go. And remember, PTA moms are nasty. Yeah. I could not be a parent. I cannot be a parent because any of these parents that are MAGA, all I hear is that gun cocking sound. Clunk, clunk. Hey, Nazis. Sorry. The International Criminal Court judges have rejected a jurisdiction challenge in the case of the former president Rodrigo Duterte, accused of involvement in dozens of killings, the so-called war on drugs in office. That guy's got a better comb over than Trump, at least. That's about it. Let's see what's going on here in Mongolia. President Ukna Kura... I'm going to butcher that. Kurilsuk claims Parliament's vote to oust the PM is invalid because of procedural flaws. You see all this fuck shit. Yeah. Oh, I ain't never seen people bootlick. I had never seen it in my whole life. I ain't never seen people bootlick. People didn't even bootlick Michael Jordan like this. In fact, people were like, there were more people like opposed to bootlicking like Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? So remember I told you he's raising the beaches so he can build a resort. But he's got to land his military first. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to target cocaine facilities inside Venezuela. So if you were wondering what is he using as to legitimize conflict, the war on drugs. I just showed you, hey, here's the former Philippine president Duterte trying to get his court thing jurisdiction changed and got denied this. Like, do you understand? It's like the end of the road for these people, and it's coming for Donald Trump. I know it don't feel like it. What do you think happens when they use the 25th Amendment on him and he's just a private citizen? You think it? You know what I'm saying? Like he has to die in office. Take their coke too. Yeah. Okay. And here's the thing: when you see the countries closest start to take action, it has to. You have to now know. You have to know war is coming. Okay. It's not your fault. You're not the bad guy. Okay. It's not going to be us. Okay. Croatia has reintroduced conscription, which is same as selective service. It's conscription, compulsory military service. Yeah. Don't do drugs. Okay. If you couldn't produce it without getting busted by the FBI, don't do it. You know what I mean? And you know what's crazy about this? I lived next to somebody that had a little meth production going on, and didn't even know that until the feds ran a Tahoe through his front door. And as they're dragging my neighbor across his yard, I'm like, "What the fuck did you do?" And he's like, "It wasn't even me." What do you mean? What do you mean? And it was like his cousin or something had a meth factory in his fucking basement. I think I told that story before. I was just smoking a cigarette on the porch, like, this shit's wild. Yeah, I think all of the things that Donald Trump will be convicted of will be posthumous, and that's okay too. hmm Because I don't want him to be alive. It was his brother. Sorry, Taylor. Thank you. I gotta have you here to correct me on my small mistakes. Um, it wasn't his cousin. It was his brother. There were two O's in Goose. It was wild. Yeah, brother Dale. We used to we used to blow trees with that guy, and the only thing he ever did that made me be like, "Oh, that's weird," is he told me he buried his money out on land that he owned out in the woods, and I was like, "Why the fuck don't you just build a house out there? Why would you?" And he told me he had like drugs and money buried somewhere, and I was like, "Why the fuck would you do that?" And he's like, "Cause the feds are coming." Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you even doing? And then a string of events happened, but yeah, trust me. If the feds want you dead, you're dead. You're just dead. I they drove through someone's front, money and guns. They drove through someone's foyer. If you were just in the vicinity, you're dead. He was going 50 mile an hour when he hit their front porch, for sure. After a hard right hand turn, it was crazy. You were like, I ain't never seen anybody drive a fucking Suburban like that before. hmm And they were out of the vehicle before it stopped. It was fucking insane, and I'm not making that up. It really happened in real life. We watched that happen. Mhm. And I have PTSD, so you know I underreacted like a motherfucker. Where I was just like, wow, this is like a weird neighborhood, huh? Like it's the white people doing the crime? Oh, you know what I mean? But that's just like America. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that happened on the Near East Side. 16th and Downey, baby. Most dangerous trip to GameStop ever in my life. Yeah, yep. You ever go in a GameStop and turn around and leave? Yeah. 10th Street, son. Don't ever forget I said it. Yep. Like an episode of Cops. Yeah. You know what it reminded me of Grand Theft Auto 5. All right. We talked a lot about world news. Oh, did you ever want to know what Satan's asshole looks like? Well, now you do. Sarah um, Netanyahu looks like rolled shit. She signed a letter to President Isaac Herzog calling for a pardon of her husband, leading a historic victory over the enemies of Israel. Holy shit. I said Satan's asshole. Yeah, she's just as fucking bad. Hey, I mean, every man reaches the heights his wife pushes him to. You know what I mean? She's awful. He's awful. What the fuck? Yeah. I think we talked about the words. Here's the actions, right? Oh, Satan's asshole. No, he looks like the physical embodiment of an STD rolled around in the dirt. Steve Bannon, yep. Steve Bannon looks like unprotected sex. Or we figured it out. It was syphilis, right? It makes me giggle. Steve Bannon's face, it just looks like you have syphilis, sir. Sorry. I can't take you seriously if every time I look at you, I'm like, venereal disease. He has like an aggressive form of syphilis. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Oh my god. With Donald Trump and the comb over, he looks like syphilis. Syphilis. Dementia and syphilis. That's what I get when I smell Trump through the television. And it's fucking true too, because like Donald Trump is such a fucking like horrible person. When you look at him, you're like, oh, he's got dementia like a motherfucker. Oh, yeah. He also looks like he has syphilis. Like, and it's Steve Bannon, it's Trump, right? Elon Musk looks the same thing. Yeah, yeah. A condom worn by someone with syphilis. Yeah, that's what Steve Bannon looks like. Um, Stephen Miller, right? Absolutely unfuckable. Hmm. Rem- Remember the song Simply Irresistible? We need the polar opposite, absolutely unfuckable. Fred Flintstone. Yeah. Holy shit. So, what Israel did occupying. He smells like he's rotten. Yeah. It's like Linus with an STD. Any Charlie Brown friends out there? I'm starting to believe in the illusion of security. Look at this shit. Remember there was this heist at the Louvre? Yeah, and yeah, they already deleted this. So there was shit stolen, right? And there was an additional theft from the Louvre. Yeah. Hmm. Huh. An unintended consequence of Donald Trump bombing all these boats, right? Is that the drug trade might just go through Europe instead, and that poses significant damage to the EU. Mm. Obviously, send a aircraft carrier. These fucking idiots. God damn it. Donald Trump, Hegseth, fucking Rubio. God damn it. Just die in your sleep. For our friends in the UK, a sex offender who sparked summer riots spotted in the London area after being freed by mistake. Squint said Trump is in both cardiac and renal failure. Squint, can time frame? How long does someone live when they're in chronic and renal failure? Like once you're like they have both. What are we looking at in terms of like max days left on this rock? I would like to start the countdown. 4? Because I mean, I thought we were like 6 to 8 months 2 months ago. So now we're in like the 4 to 6 months range. Anybody know? I mean, you know a lot about them. 5'10", 250, shitty diet. How the fuck he live like that and get to 80? You know what I'm saying, dog? I know so many people that like their fucking body gave up at like 20. What the fuck? He's going for treatment every 14 to 18 days. They could be tapping him to remove fluid buildup. Right. That's what I thought. The whole disappearance. I'm glad that I'm not a medical professional and I was able to deduce when the president disappears from the public eye, it's because he's blown up like a fucking balloon and they gotta go fucking suck all the water out of him so he looks like a normal person again. How long can you do that before you die? Asking for a planet depends on the treatment plan. So you're saying like people do this shit for years, Jared. Or eh, he's fat, he's got a shitty diet, You know, when he tells you he's doing great, he's doing terrible. I mean, he does have the greatest healthcare available to him on Earth. At least somebody does. I guess we'll just have to hope he falls down a flight of stairs and crashes out in front of us. Huh? Looks thinner lately, not as puffy. It's a will to live, and he has hate, and that'll fuel you for a while. Yeah, he does. That's all he's got. All right, I just want to point out he's a racist, sexist, pedophile, rapist, traitor. An ignorant, racist, sexist, rapist, pedophile, traitor. And mass murderer. Add that shit to the list too. Responsible for the mass death of Americans. Responsible for the mass death of Palestinian people. I wouldn't even call it mass death of the Ukrainian people, but he's fucking got a hand in that too. Squint said, when I was working, I had patients that defied every single doctor's odds. I don't want to fucking know that. You know what I'm saying? I need to know. Like Ivana fell down the stairs? Yeah. I just need it. I need I need severe frontal lobe damage, instant death, public accident, absolutely no one to blame but himself. We gave him a tighter staircase so he could get up and down it easier, and he falls. Head first. I gotta see it. Breaks his neck. Yeah, I gotta see it. Val says I would settle for a flight of stairs. Yeah, that's what I want. You cannot make him martyrable. Martyrable. New word. I made some shit up. If he dies and it's like completely his fault, he fell down a fucking flight of stairs. Oh, you can't martyr him. He wasn't murdered. He died and it was his fault. Two sucks Z Zang pings. His lungs will start to give out. Oh, so he won't be able to breathe. That was my grandfather. My grandfather had chronic pneumonia as a smoker. He smoked Marlboro Reds, pack a day for 30 years. He quit by the time I was born. He quit smoking. But as he got older, every year, he'd be in a hospital bed with pneumonia. It's tough. They're killing people at ICE facilities. And you know, I think the most heroic thing you'll ever do might be break someone out of an ICE facility, legally or otherwise. The big storyline here: a Pentagon has accepted a $130 million donation to help pay the military during the government shutdown from an anonymous person. Remember when he threw a fit when the escalator stopped working? Yeah. Which is insane. Because you know what's unique about an escalator is if it stops working, it just becomes stairs. How fucking crazy is that, Don? Just keep fucking walking, you prick. Lift your feet up. Yeah. Yeah. No, you know what? Stacy, I hope he makes it through the Asia trip. He goes out there, there isn't the bullshit food. He's miserable, he hates it. He comes back, there's fresh fries when he steps on the fucking thing or whatever. I hope I hope he chokes as he's getting off the plane coming back. He falls down a flight of stairs. I want him to die on American soil. Mhm. I know. Stairs are his worst enemy. I'm goading his worst enemy. I'm saying stairs. Now is your time to shine, baby. I would prefer if it happened here. I don't want any plausible deniability. I don't want any foreign country to be able to claim they killed President Trump. I want it to be like, no, bitch, it was him uh, in broad daylight, fell down a fucking flight of stairs because he missed the railing. Yep, needs his Mickey D's. God damn it! I quit that shit because I didn't like how I felt in my fucking 30s, 20s, even. Ugh. Now, the thing about it, it's not to say I don't love burgers. I do love burgers. That's why I eat at Culver's, or there's a place here called Flamme, Flamme. Probably my mouth is watering thinking about their burger sauce. It's like a spicy, the ketchup Thousand Island rendition you've had 1,000 times with relish in it, but it's spicy. And they use like aged cheese and shit. Yeah. So not only yeah. The Ricky said the UK has a full-on fascist march happening right now. You know what I want? Taylor, I want that light purple Antifa hoodie. I really need that. You know what I'm talking about? Cuz there's plenty of people like me that are waking the fuck up to this. That are like politically disinterested, they're never voting, that are waking up to this shit and they're like, "Oh, the right is full on fascist." Like I never really gave a fuck about politics, but now I give a fuck because there are fascists. Hmm. And you got to remember, like when I was a boy, when I was of age, like 18 to 25, an impressionable kid, the punk guys were the cool guys. The anti-corporate, anti-corporation, they were fine with weed and cigarettes and booze and shit, but they weren't. A lot of them remember the hardcore community that was super clean. I, as an athlete, as somebody who was in a weight room, somebody who played like recreational sports, the people that were still athletic were the straight edge kids. The people that had union jobs were punks. The kids wearing the Vans and the fucking my brain. I'm old now. Chuck Taylors, Vans and Chuck Taylors were your plumbers and your electricians, the guys that showed up to punk shows. They weren't bums, actually. They were like college educated. They had a job. They were part of a union. They had money, right? The impressionable men that I was around when I was like 18 to 25 in public, like when you would just go somewhere, the people that you were impressed with were not particularly politically connected. They were pretty anti. It's it's wild. You like hate blue cheese? That's crazy. And Airwalks. Fuck yeah, Airwalks. I had some Airwalks when I was a kid. Airwalks, Vans. I had all them shits when I was a kid. Because when I was a little kid, skateboarding, rollerblading, and biking and like BMX were cool. And if you were poor, you only did one. And if your parents had money and shit, you might actually have a skateboard and a bicycle. That's how you end up in skateboard shoes as you get older because they're the most comfortable. Blue cheese is great. Alamo Trust CEO resigns. Kate Rogers. I'm reading, but it's like not necessary. This feels like the government pushing a CEO to resign. Am I reading this right? I don't necessarily know. Yeah. When blue cheese melts, it gets really creamy. Yeah. Love blue cheese. Oh, and by the way, Taylor, I'll tell him. My wife and I ordered Wingstop. I don't remember last time we did this. Overrated as fuck. What are we doing? We need to do better. We deserve better. See what I'm saying? We gotta have people willing to build the businesses of the future because what we're fucking it up right now. Hmm. Ah, ah. I'll say it. There's no good wing place. There, like a chain wing restaurant. BW3s and fucking Wingstop. I'm not spending money there anymore. I'll go local. Yeah, thank God. The local restaurants are what are amazing in this area. Hmm. Like my wife and I, when we go out to eat, we try to eat local. There's some like I'm sure Potbelly's is not local. Yeah, Wingstop's overrated as fuck. Yeah. See, we have a chicken and fish local spot. I actually think that's what it's called. Something or another's chicken and fish. And they do like a 10 piece and chicken fried rice for 10.99, bro. Like that's two full meals for me. About my mouth is watering. About five wings and some chicken fried rice. That's a meal. So that like $10-12 plate. That's two full meals for me. Uh huh. Yeah, burgers are great for you. Ground beef is great for your digestive system. That's the thing about burgers is that we are actually correct by eating like we like ground beef, and I say we as like a white people, as like Americans, because America loves its burgers. Yeah, BW3s is trash. You ever pick up a BW3 wing and you're just like, just throw it away? Like, give me a real chicken wing. What the fuck? A ceviche dish and cheesecake. Yeah, I like Cheesecake Factory. That's a good place to take your partner. I would love to take my wife to Cheesecake Factory because I love their carrot cake cheesecake. If you've never had, if you like carrot cake and are up for some cheesecake, I'm telling you, Cheesecake Factory does carrot cake cheesecake, and it's yeah. I like burgers with all the fixins too, grilled onions, shit. I like it all really. You could dumb it down, just melt some American cheese and some ketchup. I could eat it real plain, or you could dress that bitch up too. I'll eat every thing you put on it. My big thing that my wife and I do. There's a local that Flame restaurant that we go to. She orders a salad, and they'll cut up a fucking jalapeno in her salad, and she's pulling a piece of jalapeno out and throwing it in my plate, and I'll just stack that burger high with jalapenos. Cause that hot shit don't bother me none. Cheesecake Factory is great. Is a can't miss. I also used to fuck with Chili's a lot. My mom and I'd get together, go out to lunch or something. I'll fuck up a Chili's. And before Chili's, it was fucking Chi Chi's. Do y'all remember the Chi Chi's Mexican restaurant chain? That was the best. That was the best Mexican restaurant back in the day. Raspberry cheesecake. I love it. I'm not a hater, so I don't have a disliking bone in my body. You made white chicken chili yesterday. It's about that time. I'm gonna. I think my wife just bought me some. What are they called? Crock pot filters, so we can make us some crock pot chili and stuff. Avocado fries. Yep. Evidence appears to undercut claims against Letitia James, to the surprise of no one. By the way, to the surprise of no one. Remember, this this is gonna piss you off, but we know this was coming, right? DHS pressing to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia says Liberia has agreed to accept him. A judge, however, has banned his removal while he waits trial in Tennessee. A country with which he has no connection, thousands of miles from his family and home in Maryland. They are fucking torturing that kid. Yo, did we talk about this? A school staff member dies after being kicked by a 14-year-old student. Where'd he kick her at? Kicked in the chest. I'm gonna read this story. We're gonna figure out if it's their fault or not. I'm just trying to be funny in a dark moment. You gotta understand something. I think we need an explainer for the audience because I realize at some points that my humor is dark. I use gallows humor. Look, I was in the Marine Corps Infantry during a time of war, and the unit I went to had just come back from like a very violent deployment. And so all those guys that survived were getting like Purple Hearts and combat action ribbons, and then they got a presidential unit citation and selected for the 26th MEU, which means instead of going to the desert and fighting in some dumbass war, we were on a fucking aircraft carrier, effectively. A frigate, actually, called the USS Baton. Okay? And my battle buddy, which, again, I always point out, that term, battle buddy, kind of was post my service. So let's just make sure we say, like, I wasn't calling him my battle buddy. He was my fucking roommate and my best friend, and you know what I'm saying, partner in crime, my number two. He was in my truck, so not only was in my he was in my room, we lived together. He was in my platoon, so we worked together, and then he was in my truck, so we were like in the same 5-man fire team. He died, and initially it was ruled a suicide, and they medically separated me against my will about 6 months after he died. So if you ever wondered where the gallows humor comes from, I can point to the thing that happened. But they gave me a bunch of money and they sent me back to Indiana, and 16 grand, and sent me back to Indiana 20 years ago. And then I thought I was going to be fine, but I really missed RJ, and I went to the VA in 2013 and asked for help the first time, and it was just like, man, I'm real depressed and real sad. My battle buddy's dead, and I don't have close friends like that in the real world anymore. And the first time I went, I got denied mental help. They said that because RJ didn't die in theater, that I was not seen as important to the VA in terms of my mental health, and that like when there's not openings for you to go to therapy, when there are, we will. So 10 years later, in 2023, I started CBT and CPT, cognitive behavioral therapy and cognitive processing therapy, with the VA, and have been through those programs. And don't worry, I've refiled for benefits through the VA and yada yada yada. They're taking care of me, all that shit. The reason I tell the story is in case you ever wondered, how the fuck did you get so dark? And in 2018, I found out that he was murdered and that it wasn't a suicide. He didn't kill himself. And so, no, for all of you in your little brain hole where you're like, Jared's pretty fucking obnoxious, I could see where somebody would want to fucking off themselves after spending some time around him. That's not what happened, actually. He was drugged to death at a party while he was unconscious against his will. So, yeah, that's right. My best friend didn't brain himself because of all the time we spent together. Thank you. We had a fucking great time. Just want to make sure I point that out. But yeah, so if you ever wonder why I'm so dark, I've said this quote recently, but it just, man, it sings to me. Rob, Robert G. Ingersoll. Life is a narrow veil between the cold and barren peaks of two eternities. We strive in vain to look beyond the heights. We cry aloud, and the only answer is the echo of our wailing cry. From the voiceless lips of the unreplying dead, there comes no word. But in the night of death, hope sees a star, and listening love can hear the rustle of a wing. It's a great fucking quote. But I think about it all the time. Life is the cold and barren peak between two eternities. Yeah. At some point you realize if you don't just use dark humor, then you'll just be a sad boy all the time. That's silly. I didn't do anything wrong. But that isn't to say that I haven't been depressed and that I'm not. That doesn't, the way I've been treated by my family, by friends, um, fortunately for me, it has solidified me. Mhm. So I know that a lot of people aren't close to me and don't want to be close to me because they see me as a danger to myself or others. And it's they got too much going on in their lives, so they don't really care about what's going on in mine. Mhm. And I'm just lucky that I have my wife that pushed me to go take care of my mental health at the VA. Um, and going through cognitive behavioral therapy and going through cognitive behavioral therapy, um, going through those processes, I learned from my therapist. He said, first of all, kudos to you. Most of the time when people get mental health help, it's too late. The average age of a male getting mental health help within the VA's system is 68 years old. I started when I was 40. Um, Obviously, the average age of a female getting mental health help within the VA system is 28, right? Because of what they'll go through while they're on active duty. Hmm. Donald Trump, recent. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Donald Trump made a big mistake recently bringing up Ronald Reagan and saying that Ronald Reagan would have supported his tariffs. But then there's actually video of Ronald Reagan not supporting fucking tariffs. Gotta go. Here's what the people need to understand. Okay, the only export that the United States has is entertainment. Okay, that's what this country fucking manufactures. So what we make here, movies, TV shows, cartoons, we make sporting events and we put on spectacles and concerts. That's what makes money in this fucking country. And that we can export to other countries. That's it. We don't. That's our major export, and it's like 23% of the GDP in the United States. Like a quarter of the money made in the United States is on entertainment, and that again comes with the high cost of producing entertainment. Hmm? I really do have a great wife, and remember, keep it light. One of the things I use at work all the time, I say it all the time. It's not your fault. You're not the bad guy. The system was designed this way. It's acting as it's intended. The sooner you recognize that the things that are happening are by design, largely, still believe with every fiber of my being that the wealthy people on the planet are actually trying to rob us and escape without being held accountable first. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, absolutely. Zeke said, "Is it possible to make the claim that presidents should be in jail after serving, if any innocent life?" I think it's something that every president should have to sit down and discuss. How many of these deaths are you directly responsible for? And I absolutely think you should be held responsible for uh, intentional death. So understand, they're proud of the people they mean to kill. So they have no qualms about that. And that's just the way the regime works. Yep, Till and I got a wedding today. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh wow. Looks like we're gonna have crazy weather the next several days. So before we even get to the map, I just saw the average weather intensity score. Hey, 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 hey. Craziest weather we've had in recent memory in the next 5 days. You you should know this. Come on, back out. We're gonna sit here till they back out to the hole. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh yeah. You better keep your eyeballs peeled. Listen, no surprises. I just sat here and told you at the end of the show. It's the most excited I got all day. Okay? The Ryan Hall has an AI system that they had to take down and repurpose to make it function better. Okay? Because it wasn't catching stuff. Because it's a robot and you gotta. That's a problem. Okay? It's a necessary object, but it has limitations in that it only knows what you teach it. Okay? So if I look in the northwest part of the country today, there is a lot of moisture off the western seaboard in the northern half of California. Think like San Fran and north. Okay, I see uh, moisture means rainfall typically in Oregon, southwest Idaho. There are freeze warnings throughout the northwest. Okay, in Kansas and Oklahoma and Missouri and Arkansas and East Texas and by God, all of Louisiana and probably Mississippi too are going to get absolutely thumped today. So the middle bottom of the U.S., that little 7 state area, I'd say, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and uh, Mississippi. Keep your head on a swivel. I see a bunch of blue and purple and a little bit of green across my part of the country. Okay, so in my neck of the woods, this being, uh, your Iowa, Minnesota is basically the Big Ten. Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky type stuff. It just looks like wind and cold. Not necessarily like a bunch of rain. But it's not that there's not moisture there. My stomach is growling. I drank margaritas last night. So yeah. Um, hey, 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 hey. Or not winter storm. There is a winter storm warning in Wyoming. What I was going to say, a storm is becoming a major hurricane and is a catastrophic threat to Jamaica. Okay? So keep your head on a swivel. Oh, wow. Storms cause power line fire, damage reported. It's only a matter of time before this weather affects people's daily lives. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Mm-mm-mm.